Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Okay, so today I want to get right into the topic that we're talking about today, which is the truth about Black Lives Matter. I wanted to do this video because I felt like there's a lot of misinformation about Black Lives Matter, and I want to kind of break the misinformation. Now, I want to say that while I was not a formal member of Black Lives Matter, I was one of the first organizers to do actions in New York City under its name. I worked under a group called OccuEvolve, which was part of the Occupy Wall Street movement from 2001 to 20, I'm sorry, from 2011 to 2017. And we did some of the first actions within the Occupy Wall Street movement that addressed police brutality in New York City. And we were one of the first groups to ever do an action in the name of Black Lives Matter in New York City. We did a action at Grand Central Terminal. We did an action in front of Fox News. We did an action on Wall Street. And there is some video that I hope to pull up that I can show you guys in the future for that. But there's a lot of uh, things that people don't understand and that people get twisted when it comes to Black Lives Matter. And tonight I want to kind of go over some of those points and hopefully clear the air and get to some truths. Okay. So, first and foremost, what Black Lives Matter is not is an organization. It's not one central movement. Black Lives Matter is a series of three different groups. The first would be, and this isn't in a order, Black uh, Black Voters Lab, which deals with black voting for African Americans or Africans in America. That's the focus. Alicia Garza is the founder of that. She's one of the organizers of Black Lives Matter, which I'll talk about a little bit later. There's also another part of the group, which is actually really good, I think. Maybe the strongest part of Black Lives Matter, and that would be the movement for Black Lives, which actually has demands on what they want to get done. I always felt that any movement that doesn't have demands is going to fail. So they actually movement for Black Lives. Now you could Google this. I would rather you Google this for yourself. Don't just let me tell you, but Google it for yourself. You'll find more information about that. Okay, and then there's also the individual chapters of Black Lives Matter, which is, um, different cities have chapters for Black Lives Matter. So it's not one group. People need to understand that. That's very important. And that's going to play into one of my later points. Now, the thing is, for Black Lives Matter, is um, while it's not one group, it's really just a series of different chapters, really, that put together the actions, mostly the marches. So, I wanted to say that. Now, hello, whoever's watching. Um, there's a fiction. So within that fiction, there's a fiction that the group is centralized and that it gets money from certain individuals, which I'll talk about later, which is not true. Black Lives Matter does not have a central office where it can collect checks from people. So people need to understand that. Very, very decentralized movement. Here's a fact. Now, Black Lives Matter was founded by three black women that belong to the LGBTQ community. And forgive me, one of the names escapes me right now, but I know there's Alicia Garza, there's Patrice Couleurs, and for the life of me, I can't think of the other member. And yes, they are all lesbians, black lesbians, and they deal with a lot with LGBTQ issues. So that's the facts. And, you know, but the fiction is that the LGBTQ community controls the movement, or that is the only focus. The difference is that LGBTQ goals, particularly those that deal with people in our community, are represented in Black Lives Matter, but that is not the complete goal of Black Lives Matter. In other words, it's not just the LGBTQ community organization or movement. They fight for those LGBTQ lives, particularly transgender lives, because that community is consistently under attack not only by the people that attack us, the system that attacks us, but people within our own community. So the LGBTQ community is represented within Black Lives Matter, but that is not the main thrust of the group, although many are in leadership positions. Okay. Also, this is very important. Black Lives Matter receives money from outside sources like George Soros, the Democratic Party, and others. Now, here's a big thing. Now, anybody can send money to Black Lives Matter, but the fact of the matter is, uh, there's no centralized office for you to send money that controls policy within Black Lives Matter. So I know this from Occupy Wall Street and dealing with Black Lives Matter. A lot of the organizers don't have a lot of money. They exist on donations by individuals, usually that come to protests. So it's a fiction that uh, George Soros controls the movement. Now he may send in money, and other people that have money and that don't have money send in money to the group. But here's the thing: donations, most of the donations and the big money goes to the founders of Black Lives Matter, the people that organized it originally and thought of it originally. Those three sisters at the top, and also money that's affiliated with Black Lives Matter also goes to different social media entities like D Ray. What's his name? D Ray. There's a brother named D Ray. Like I can't think of his last name. D Ray McKesson. There's also money that goes to people like Sean King. But the bulk of the money, the big money, goes to the founders, and that money is usually given through sometimes grants, but also speaking opportunities that they create. Some have created also, their own platforms to push books, speaking tours, and all the rest of it. So I can tell you that for a fact. And a lot of times, especially in the beginning, they were fighting over that money. Those three people at the top and the so-called people that are in high social media positions. But it's not like George Soros is sending $1 million to push an agenda. That's just not true at all. Okay. So we need to get beyond that. BLM fact, it is not led by white people. Now, there may be white people that participate in marches and um, the actions that go on, but it is not led by white people. A lot of the times, it is often led by LGBTQ members for one reason or another, which I'll talk about at another time. But this is not a group that's led by some secret white folks. In fact, the membership is it varies from place to place, but it's not led by white people. And that's going to lead to my other point. Let me get to it. Um, so, okay, and that's very important to know because the money that the money that BLM gets and doesn't control the policy. Also, let me say that BLM, Black Lives Matter, they have gotten some things done. They have gotten not only some officers fired, they've also changed some laws, some no-knock warrants and other laws across the country. So I think you should Google what has Black Lives Matter achieved. They're not just about marches. They have had demands. They have gotten some things done. So I think that they should be cheered. We should definitely give them their props. Basically, Black Lives Matter, in my view, is a way to get people involved into political life. Now, it's important once they are involved for us as organizers to take them to another higher place. It's not just about marching. It's not just even about, shouting Black Lives Matter. It's something deeper than that. And it's just really fundamental. Now, while I said all of that, it's my belief that now Black Lives Matter, I feel like in a lot of ways they have served their purpose. But now I think that what we have to do as a community is go forward and go into this thing called Black Power Matters, which means that we need to control the everything in our community, starting with the education, starting with the police department, starting with everything in our community. Black Power Matters, which means if we have control of the police department, then we are responsible for hiring and firing and reviewing police activity in our community. Then things will change. If we are in control of our schools and the curriculum and the teaching and the curriculum, then things will change. If we are in control and support our black institutions, not just the church, but our economic institutions and our banks and developing those and make them serve the community, then we'll see a change. So we have to change from Black Lives Matter. We already know our lives matter to Black Power Matters. And once we have power over our own lives, then we will be closer to freedom. Now, I want to point out two Black Power organizations or movements. One you probably already know, Nation of Islam. They have their own schools. They have their own security. They have their own businesses. I think we should support them whether we belong to the Nation of Islam or not. There's also another really good group called the Uhuru Movement, and they have Black Power Matters, and they are creating things in the St. Louis area. They have businesses, they have community centers, they're building up housing, they're building up a lot of things. So Google Black Power Matters and Uhuru. And let me see if I have any questions or comments. Okay, I don't have any questions or comments, but I did see 4 people, so my live stream is building and growing. Thank you guys so much. I want to say also to make sure I'm gonna put. I'll probably lose some people as I say this, but I'm gonna put down my PayPal and my Cash App. So if you have any questions, also I'll put down my email address. If you want to know any more information, I may do a part 2. I'll put that down in the chat comments as well. I should have already done that. And if you have any other questions, please just let me know. I'll be talking more about this subject and things that I'm doing in terms of my activism in the very near future. For whoever's watching, thank you so much. If you think I should do a part 2, let me know. Put down in the chat. And yeah, otherwise, have a really great day. Look for me again. I may go live again tonight, and we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being here, and Happy New Year to you all. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. I'm at 1,600, and I thank you so much, and I love you, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Also, check my community tab. I always have, I think, pretty decent stuff to uplift. Love you guys. Peace.